commitment-wise, to their house-wise, how we make our lists. I don't speak long. I'm finding it hard to even sit down. I don't like sharing sitting down, not because I showboat, because I lie real good when I sit down. You know, like when you're on a parole board, you gotta go up with that kind of stuff. But the topic is how we make our list. 8th step. Let me just read this right quick, so I can get a better understanding of what the topic is. We made a list of all persons we harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. I'm not going to do the before I got to the 8th step. I really can't stand, in a big crowd, so I'm not going to step on a lot of toes when I say this. I can't stand when somebody asks me to do a meeting on a step, and it's a ladder step, and I got to run you through all the first 7 steps. The group or the body must be assuming that I have an 8th step. But in order to do an 8th step, I had to go first to the 7th step. The 4th step is what's privy in my mind right now, because the 4th step, after going on the 4th step with a sponsor, even the literature says that I can go over a 4th step with somebody loving and caring. Narcotics Anonymous, I love you, Keith. Narcotics Anonymous literature is not stiff and inflexible. It's not cut and dry. It does clearly say that I can go over the 4th step with somebody's loving and caring, but it also suggests that I go over with an NA sponsor. And the purpose of that is, especially after going over my 4th step, just simply, literature explains stuff kind of simple. Not easy, but simple. A good and bad inventory. I had to bring the 4th step with me to do the 8th step because I wouldn't have gotten out some of the things in myself that's prevalent. It would have been difficult for me to even start. I only can give you my experience. It would have been very difficult for me to start writing on an 8th step had I not had some things pointing out from my 4th step. I wouldn't have became willing to make amends to anybody thinking that I always was wrong. Self-centeredness. I wouldn't have been thinking about making no list to anybody if I was stuck in my own patterns of they had it coming to me. I don't do a drug-a-log no more. And I say this with pride because I see sometimes people talk about how much clean time they got through cups of coffee. And I don't have a few cups of coffee. We 17 days shy of 24 years clean. I say that with pride. I don't say that to brag. I say that with pride. I'm going to stand up for a second because I can't do it. I can't sit there.
It's just recording. Keep going.
The list that I had, my sponsor had me sit down, not any addict, not any a human being, but a recovering addict that had been here before me, a more experienced member of how this process works, simply said, it's some of the stuff that I need to understand, need to go on the list, despite me thinking that I was wrong. A quick example, because this topic was, how do we make a list? I had to put my pops on the list. Why is that so strange? My pops abandoned us, and I said me. Thank God for the step work process, but my pops abandoned us when I was 4. I would see him periodically. He came and see me when I was doing the prison bid and asked me something that I found real strange. What'd you do to get in here? Now, not to do his inventory, but my pops was one of them jokers. My pops was the cat that liked to fight, shoot people, and hit my mother. He was one of them kind of cats. They fought, but he would hit her. So I found it real strange. He had been doing prison time before I was even born. I found it strange that he would come down to Yardville and ask me what did I do to get locked up. So I told the white shirt, cancel the visit and take him off my list. Through sponsorship, what I found out is I did cause harm. It wasn't until years later that my pops came and see me in another facility. I say facility because facility is cuter. It wasn't until years later my pops came and see me in another jail that we had the opportunity to talk. Y'all told me in What Can I Do, the chapter What Can I Do says if I'm in a facility of any kind and have a clear mind, I can practice this way of life. So I was already in a facility at that time. I had a couple of months clean, and my pops came to see me in there, and I was able to conversate with him about how he felt with that Yardville visit that I terminated. So he went on the list. My mom's went on the list. Didn't struggle with my mother going on the list, but this point will still plague me. Thank God for the prior 7 steps. Thank God for the powerlessness. Thank God for the understanding my good and bad assets. I hear people sharing not to kick nobody back in. If you did it, that's your business. It's not part of my story. I heard somebody saying in a meeting that they would turn into a snake and crawl on the floor and get to their mama pocketbook. I don't have a mama pocketbook story. So stay with me for a minute. Tell me how I made the list. I don't have a mama pocketbook story, not because she wouldn't have caught it. I don't have a mama pocketbook story because by the time I was 12, 14, I don't know if you remember The Odd Couple, when Oscar Madison's wife asked him to leave. My mother asked me to leave and to never return at the ripe age of 12 and 14 because she was a bitch. No, because I was already on the streets selling drugs, and she didn't have no place in her life. So I don't have a robbing from her story. I don't have a taking her jewelry. I didn't get the chance to. It ain't like I was a better than addict. But what happened was, it was you guys in sponsorship to help me understand you did rob her. You robbed her more than you think. You robbed her of sleepless nights. You robbed her of comfortability of knowing where her child was. My mother told me one time when I called her I heard another addict talking earlier about 60 Nelson Place. If you don't know what that is, don't even worry about it. But I had called my mother from the county, and she was like, where you at? Because this is a collect call. Remind me of your father. And I said, I'm downtown Newark. She said, you're not shopping. You're at 60 Nelson. And I remember her saying, that must mean you're all right. Click. But my mother went on the list too. It talks about the 8th step as being able to clear up some of the stuff from my past, like the 4th step did, that could help me live in the present and continue to go on. But it's a strong part in there in that reading that talks about willingness. It still talks about me having the ability to put down names. So let's talk about some of the institutions that I have harmed and how they wound up on the list through sponsorship. Back in my using days, I've been in my profession for a minute. I'm a chef. But back in my using days, I worked for a company in the city, not in New York, in a city in Jersey, because I don't want to break their name. I don't know who probably know them, where they gave me an hour and a half to work a day, 5 days a week, and gave me $300 a week. Punk ass hour and a half a day. My job was considered, I was a proofer. Proofer, if you don't know what that means, is in culinary is you basically pour steam into pastries and just set them up. Hour and a half, maybe $300. I devised a way of manipulating their cash register because they wasn't even in the shop. They gave me the keys to their facility to proof for them an hour and a half in the morning at $300 for 5 days, and I found the way how to manipulate the cash register, to which they found out. And they asked me, again, like Oscar, to never return. And I came with a bright idea of how dare them. How dare them fire me? I went and got a copy of the keys, backed the U-Haul truck up to the company early one morning, let's say like 4, and liquidated them for items that cost thousands of dollars. I explained that to my sponsor, how wrong they did me because they fired me. He said, see, they definitely need to go on the list. He said, because you did them wrong and then thought that the wrong they did to you should be manipulated by you doing them wrong-er. So this making amends has to come with me being willing, able to look. Thank God for not thinking I'm the sharpest tool in the shed, because I came here thinking that I was a little smart. Where I come from, high school diplomas is not fashionable. Sorry. Where I come from, if you don't got a state number, they're not talking to you too much. 253-563. You can't pull it out quick. So I came here thinking that I knew some stuff, and thank God sponsorship helped me understand that it's some people, it's some institutions, it's some areas that you probably read. I heard an addict say this in the meeting. The addict said, thank God that we in here. The crime rate went down since we, and I said, damn. Making a list. I said, because I'm not one of them, everything you say I agree with addicts. I don't care how much clean time you got. I've heard some sick shit in here. But some of this, a lot of this, 99% of this makes sense. That's one of them. The crime rate has went down. with me being clean. Not like I terrorized the city. Not like I was Frank Nitti and his men quickly rode. No, I'm not talking about like that. What I'm saying is I'm no longer terrorizing. Love you, Keith. Keith said, I don't even pee outside years ago. I'm talking about the men. I'm talking about putting it on the list, becoming willing. Because when I'm there, we joke about this. After my eighth step, I should be able to just make amends on the dot. Thank God this program is not about, because I hate when I say stuff, and if you got to call your sponsor, call them. Because this is not about how many. At the end of the 12th step, it says this is just the beginning. Does that mean go back over? No, it's other chapters in this book. And thank God, and we do recover, it talks about how this is a preventive. This is a preventive program so that I don't return back. The amends process is a preventive process so that I don't go back into the old. I grew up young, the baby of all women in the house. My oldest brother already had been getting brought home in cop cars by the time he was in the 5th grade, and he had to be dismissed from the household. I grew up, you too dark-skinned, you peasy-headed, you four-eyed, you short. How about fighting to mount the men's, to mount the list? How about fighting in front of the high school with a dude, right? I figured we rocking out. And the dude said to me, you don't hit hard like your sister did. So I come up, because my sponsor asked me, you went on, you didn't put the most important person on your list. And I said, who could that be? He said, you. How about me growing up feeling like that about let's talk about how I had to put me on the list. I don't have a sponsor that ripped up my step work. He ripped it all up, threw it in my face. That's not what happened. That don't happen to me. I still got a little attitude. I probably can't fight. I'm pushing 60 now. But I still got a little hurt in me. So that's not what happened. My sponsor asked me simply, to I'm making a list. Why are you not on the list? To which I had to, because it's an ongoing process. And I had to think about some of the things that I had done to my, dating back, because y'all said this is something else we got in our literature. Some of us believe we were addicts long before the use of drugs. And I was like, that's some bullshit. The dope and the coke make me, nope. Joker said it's not about necessarily the drug. The drug is the most glaring defect that I have. The drug is the most obvious thing that I have. The way I went about. I don't know how you went about your drugs. But let's talk briefly about some stuff that went on before the drugs. Simple. When I think about how much I didn't like me, I remember wanting y'all to accept me. So bad that as a child, I would dive into. Look, do you know what a sticky bush is? A sticky bush is with the berries and the stickers sticking out to an inch. I remember having on tank top and shorts because I knew y'all would get a kick out of this. I would dive into the sticky bush. And I could still feel it because y'all would laugh and then I would, but y'all liked it. And I remember for a long time not liking me. Listen, at the end of the road, toward the end of the road, right? This is because I hate when people talk, their story changed 24 years later. I'm not no killer, Danny. The Joker gave me the gun, said, let's get out the car because you always drive. Let's talk about the end of the road and how I need to make amends to me. And how I was able to get cool with my father the last 3 years of his life. And how I go see my mother now and conversate with her. Let's talk about the slimy Darrell. How I wanted to be down with y'all so bad, I would drive y'all with my car to do stick-ups. And the dude decided one day, here, Darrell, take the gun. And the real me showed up. Because I stepped out the car nervously, tripped off the sidewalk, and let it shot off. Blah! To which he said, wait, Darrell, give us that back. You just drive. Not liking me. So Spon said, this is why you on the list. This is why you got to be on the list. Because you treated yourself. Let's talk about me on the list today. Because if I don't stay clean, everything around me fucks up. Sorry, I curse. Sorry about that. My disease didn't have a hey, Darrell, or at that time it was Crazy Walik. let's go use. Disease didn't come at me like that. I got battle scars of when I thought I was going to be captain in charge, selling that coke, and them Dominicans hit me with that 38 slug in that back on 149th and Broadway. And I really believed that I was diabolically going to be the man, because when they shot me, we went to the hospital. We walked to the hospital that night. Thank you for sharing earlier. And we walked from 149th across Riverside Drive to 168 with the bullet in my back. And I was like back on the block the next day, because I didn't have internal bleeding, letting people feel the bullet that was stuck in my ribs, that bounced off my pelvic girdle and got stuck in the front part of my ribs. Thank God for a spiritual program, not a religious program, but my religious beliefs had changed at that point. I thought I was God. They practice, it's a religious belief that's called 5%, outside issue. But I thought I was God, and I was letting people feel the bullet. The men's process, how you make a list and keep yourself, how did I keep myself off it, remembering that I was on the block 2 days after getting shot, bragging like I was Tupac. How long will they mourn me with the bullet? So how do we make a list? I had to consider some of the insane thoughts that I had. I never was a booster. At the end of the road, I rode with boosters, right? Because we could get off E, because I was always been a good salesman. A friend of mine at the time, we were on the intersection corner trying to see how we can get a couple of towns from where we were, because that's where the good booster stuff was, made a decision, right, to pull a guy over that offered us, nothing happens by coincidence, offered us a ride to get where we was going. To my society. And I sit in the back seat with my friend giving me the cue. You know why you're getting in the back seat, right? The guy's heart was he was going to help us go where we was going. Thank God for this process. We had him make a left or right, a left and a right, another left and a right, to which he was lost. And we robbed the guy. You say, Darrell, why are you saying this? Because I remember what the guy said was, oh my God, I should have known. You guys shouldn't do this, right? You should get yourselves together, after he took his money. And I laughed and said, we're going to get ourselves together when you give us all your shit. Only to get blocks away from him and get chased by the cops on foot. We got away, but I remember the nervousness of the action. Y'all said, I don't have to do stuff like that no more. Y'all said that for me to get better with the harm that I caused, some people, because it talks about in there how I'm not going to be able to make amends, the latter step, which I always find interesting. Y'all some fucked up addicts, because y'all said do the 4th and the 5th and the 8th and the 9th like it's no 9th, like it's no 5th. Damn near impossible. But how about part of the list process? It's damn near, that's like telling me to just say that bag as a wake up. It's not going to work. It never worked. So what happened is, through making the list, I come to visualize it's a possibility that some of these incidents, some of this shit that happened, I'm not going to be able to go to the person and say. Right. The reason why I bring that knife up is because Spence said the willingness still got to be in you, Darrell. Right. Because if I don't think that I've caused, it said harm. If I don't think I caused any harm in that area, if I'm still thinking like the little peasy head boy, y'all, I used to run off of y'all had it coming. I used to really like to, because you didn't expect it to happen for me. Or you shouldn't have did that to me. Sponsor, that's what we're talking about. Our literature is real nosy in the areas of relationships. You ever notice that? Our literature is nosier than a son of a bitch about relationships. But the relationships that I thought y'all meant was sexual in nature. No, PZ, there's no mental midget. We're talking about relating with humans. How do you interact? I don't know about y'all. So I'm going on active addiction. I believe I had, it's a possibility I might have had 1 to 2 good teeth. So I wasn't always smiling in your face with maybe a lowercase biscuit and maybe I had 2 teeth in my mouth, so I didn't do a lot of smiling and friend. Nothing was friendly. Spence said, you're living like that. You're living now angry about stuff that you put yourself in, thank you, Keith, in recovery. Come on, Dave, step. I had a friend of mine tell me, Darrell 16, Keith, I had a friend of mine tell me about 14 years ago, how do I make the list? You don't even laugh or smile anymore. You remember that? Because I stopped monitoring the harm that I was causing myself and putting the blame on somebody else, or she had it coming. Let me say this and shut it down. When I got clean, still working in my profession that I work in, I took a job for making a small amount of money. It's not about the money. I'm talking about the inside job you guys got me working on. And I remember having to travel from Newark to Jersey City to that job, making $770. I'm talking about after being chef, after being head chef places, after doing my own catering, right? My sponsor made a suggestion to me from the shelter. He said, wait a minute. I said, sponsor, they're going to give me $775 an hour. Put you on the list, right? Keep you on the list, right? Monitor how you treat yourself, right? Because if I treat me good, I can treat y'all good. Kind of makes sense to me now. But I said, sponsor, they're going to give me $775 an hour, man, to go in there and do this and do that, man. You know I done have my own catering business. I done been chef. I done went around the world, whatever, Darrell. He said, man, ask you a stupid question. How much money are you making now? So put me on the list, right? Cause the harm to myself, right? But I said, let's see, shelter, deduct that, minus the 5, carry the 1, about $49 a month. He said, right. So let's just think about, because some of this is, I'll take my spot. $775 an hour sounds a lot more productive than $49 a month. And we took the job based on the suggestion. The list, because the list has to have some product. This networking process has productivity in my life today. We on a job now that I've been there for 4.5 years, and they got another title for it now. It's called chef manager. What that simply means is we're going to give you this salary whenever we feel like calling you, come to work. That's what that really means. But can I go to work? This step talks about humility. But can I go to work? Thank you. That's why I like to hear me for me. Without my name tag on, well, y'all should all the amends process. How do I start making amends to myself on the job is I don't have my title on my jacket. I couldn't wait to get my title on my jacket when I first got clean. I don't even have a title on my jacket. I don't have the ability, thank you, I don't have the ability to say I'm a humble motherfucker. Think about that. Think about what he just said. He said I'm a humble motherfucker. That just took away the humility right there. What happened is, one of the residents, because we serve residents, I work at a detox. Not a facility. Not the field. I'm sorry, call your sponsor if that bothers you. I work at a detox, and they don't have a field. We're not harvesting addicts. I work at a detox, and what happened is we serve the residents. One of the residents said to me, I didn't know who you were, because I see you washing dishes. Come on the list. I'm keeping myself on the list so I don't cause myself harm. Because me being arrogant, learn that from the 4th step. Me being arrogant, after feeling so small in the inside, I felt small in the inside for so long that it could be overcompensated through my arrogance. Look at me. I'm chef manager of the blog. It does not say. I'm talking about how I learned to stop causing harm to myself. Y'all say something, it starts with me and ends with me. And I'm like, well, that's some slick shit to say. Basically, Sponsor said, what that means is you gonna get yourself into some shit and blame it on us? No, get yourself out of it through this process and prayer. So I'm on the job with no ID badges hanging at all. To where a resident has said to me, I really thought you was the dishwasher because I seen you taking out garbage and washing dishes. And I said, my arrogance shot. Here go my harmless. Because he trying to get clean. Because his clean time don't matter. I got in years where he don't got in months. This is arrogance. This is arrogance. I got in years where he don't got in days right now. Here's the arrogance in my mind. And what came out my mouth was, how could I help you?
That's right.
So this process, again, I don't think that it's a stop thing. I don't think, I heard people say, because I got two motherfuckers on my list now that I don't know about that. I might harm you. It talked about indirectly on this step, indirectly. I might have harmed road rage. I might have harmed you through road rage. It's a little term that I got called, and maybe y'all can't identify with my road rage. It's called, you stupid motherfucker. Like, when you driving recklessly, Mike was talking about, when you driving too reckless near me, because I think I'm a safe driver. I drive 80 to 90 miles an hour, but not near you. But when you come near me, you motherfucker. So we're talking about how not causing harm is in that area, right? Is me simply not rolling the window down or giving you any gestures. Darrell, what's so big about that? Well, in active addiction, I had a bad habit of, I follow with real killers in the car, not me. I follow a joker 2 towns over because he cut me off. To say to him, what you cut me off back there for? And he said, back where? I said, downtown New York. He said, we in Livingston. What are you talking? You understand what I'm saying? So how sick what do you mean? I didn't even see you. I'm talking about how keeping me monitor the prior steps helped me monitor me through you. Listen, let me say this right there. I would have stopped using. I don't know how much time I got, but I'm gonna shut up with this. I would have stopped using. Arrogant. Because I'd have got killed out there, or I'd have got a hell of another state bid. And I never used in jail. I never used in prison. The price be too high. The price be too high in prison if you use it, boy. Let me tell you something. But I would have stopped. I would have killed. I would have never got better. I would have never understood the dig deep. I would have never understood it's an inside job. I would have never got in touch with my thinking pattern is fucked up if it wasn't for y'all. I thank God for y'all. An addict said it early and true. I do stuff in my area, especially since I'm Chef Odi Blah, I do stuff in my area, Googly's Blue, that I don't even take the, fuck the 7th tradition, you keep it. Yeah. I don't even bring a receipt back to the home group. Because I could never repay y'all. I didn't know I was that fucked up. I thought it was a dope and coke. I thought it was that. Only me, right? I used to I'm sorry if you came here for, I need y'all help. I didn't come down here to talk shit to y'all. I need y'all help. I used to like that. I'm the only one that liked to scratch his thigh to the blood in his nails. Fuck you. I know I'm messed up. Through this process, through the amends process, I learned to treat me better, which entails I can treat others better. I got a 16-year-old daughter been living with me since she was 9 months old. Talking about the harm process. I had to have, that's why I don't, okay, I'm gonna say it. I don't do men's meetings and women's meetings. I don't do that. This is Darrell. I don't do that because I need all y'all help. Thank God I don't do that because I had a woman tell me, you need to stop sharing certain things about that relationship because unbeknownst to you, you're kicking her back in. Motherfucker. She said motherfucker. You're kicking her back in by going around saying what a great dad you are because your daughter live with you. She said, where else should she live if not with you? It's not coincidental. So I've had the harm. Someone called the harm. Especially that my daughter and mother liked, although we're not together, especially that she liked to fight and to show up in a meeting. What you talking about? So yeah, you might be causing yourself some harm. Like the life you say may be your own, Darrell. So I'm talking about learning that, watch what I say in the 10th step, the 10th tradition in It Works How and Why, because I've had people say this to me. So how do we know what to share? It's a sharing format. Sorry, the 10th tradition, It Works How and Why, says anything that's affecting my recovery, my ability to stay clean, is sharing material. But then it says, but I need to ask myself some questions before I start running my mouth. Darrell, why am I sharing? I got the most experience. I'm going to share my ass off. What I'm getting ready to say going to separate the group? It's going to bring us closer together? Am I sharing my theory or my opinion? Am I sharing my experience, strength, and hope? So it's a format for, you look it up. I didn't write this shit, y'all did. And I know how to read, so now I can say it. I'm not a literature quoter. I'm not quoting it. I'm not a literature quoter. Motherfucker, are you a reader? Stop saying it. We saying some, I'm sorry. We saying some stupid shit in meetings. Yeah, because I'm not a literature quoter. Nobody asked you to quote it. That's why you keep your literature with you. I've got mine on my phone. This is how I make amends with that. I don't tell you how to share or what you should be sharing. Or I don't sit in the meeting to say, this John sharing again. I'm good. A newcomer might have heard me. Sometimes I'm making amends and helping a recovering addict. I don't need to be saying in the meeting, Malika sharing again. A newcomer might not like Malika now. Shut up. You can come and go when you want to, but don't take the newcomer or me with you. This is just some of the process that I have to stay in touch with as far as making the list. Again, I just wanted to share my experience and hope. If you got something out of it, thank you. If you didn't, still thank you. Thanks for letting me share.